Ever since I migrated from the UK down here to Canada, I have gotten this question over and over and over again. And following the posting of this particular video, I'm going to be linking it here on my TikTok. Oh God, the questions tripled. Lots of people just want to know what I think, which country I prefer. Is it UK or Canada? What do I think about both countries? What's my position and all that? And all this is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Now, I want you to know that nobody, no ring light ambassador, nobody can make this decision for you. Relocation is a very, very personal decision, and only you know what point you are in your life and what you want out of where you want to be migrating to. So this video is not going to be telling you, oh, go to the UK or come down here to Canada. I'm only going to be highlighting a few categories and stating which of the countries I prefer depending on the category I'm discussing. But like I said, nobody's going to tell you what to do. So I'm sure this is something you're interested in, and I know lots of people are at a crossroad as well, trying to decide which country to go to. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's enjoy this video. Welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Moments with D. If you are an OG on this channel, you're a returning viewer, you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for the love and the views I've gotten on my video. If you're a returning viewer, you haven't subscribed, you should do that right away, right? Because you enjoyed my video, that's why you're back. And if you're seeing my face for the first time, like I said, this is Moments with D, and on this channel we discuss fun stuff. We talk about immigration and give immigration tips, even though you should note that I'm not an immigration consultant, but I talk about my life as an immigrant and tips that can help you, navigate wherever it is you're immigrating to and settle in faster. I'm sure this is what you love, so definitely subscribe and join my growing family. And again, to my over 400 subscribers, thank you. So the very first point I'm going to be talking about in this video is about proximity. The United Kingdom is a country in Europe, and it has this very close proximity to West Africa, African countries, and lots of other places. Now, I am a Nigerian, and I know most of the people watching this video as well might be Nigerian or West African. UK is very close to back home. With 6-7 hours flight, you're back in Nigeria in no time. So you can literally leave UK at night and wake up in Nigeria the very next morning. So it makes it easier to like go back home, attend events, be there for your friends and families. And even if you have to stay back in the UK to do all this, because the UK is also there is no time difference in the UK and Nigeria, or UK and West Africa most of the time. So you can really be there for your people. You can place those calls, and you will find out that those that are in the UK or immigrants in the UK don't get so lonely. Can UK be lonely? Yes, but they are not as lonely as immigrants in Canada, thanks to Airpeace as well. That has helped make the journey back to Nigeria easier. Airpeace now has very subsidized prices for flights from and to Nigeria, so you really don't have to miss out if you don't want to. Unlike in Canada is very far. It's over the Atlantic, it's in North America, so it's really far from home. You cannot just up and leave and say that you're going back home, right? Canada is 20, 25, 27, depending on even the kind of flight and the layovers you're getting, it can be way longer. So Canada is really so far, going back home. And even within Canada itself, Canada is large. It's the second largest country in the world, so it is way large. You can actually take hours even within the same province to see somebody else, which is why lots of immigrants complain that Canada can be lonely, because even if you're in the same province with families and friends, you might not see them because they are actually far away. So with regards to proximity back home, proximity to your own country, I would say if that is very important to you, then you should go for the UK over Canada. Another point I want to be discussing under this proximity is travel proximity. Like we all know that UK is, very close to European countries, right? So you can, with as low as £30, £50, book a return flight to European countries. UK is surrounded by lots and lots of countries that you can explore. Even with your BRP at times, you don't even have to get a visa. Like if you're going to Albania, Montenegro, Gibraltar and the like, you don't even need a visa to get to those places. So your BRP alone, you can travel and travel and have much fun, and it is very pocket friendly. You don't have to break the bank. In Canada, it is not that way. Like I said before, that Canada is very large. Even within the same province, you can be spending so much to get to a place. I remember while I was reviewing the video on the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, I have the video up, you can want to check that, and I saw one of the communities is in Thunder Bay. I went to check Thunder Bay from my home, and it is 15 hours drive to Thunder Bay, and we are in this Ontario together. Tell me, if I'm going to do a 15 hours drive in the UK, probably I'm even on my way back from wherever it is I'm going to, because Aberdeen to London is like 10-11 hours, and I'm doing 15 hours in the same province. That is how far Canada is. A friend of mine informed me recently that she's getting married in Calgary, and I was like, okay, let me just, you know, try to like go there and trying to see what the flight is going to cost, and it's costing $600-800 to get to Calgary for return tickets. Really? So Canada can be, you know, can be really far. And even here, the places that most people can visit is more of Mexico and the US and Dominican Republic. Those are the surrounding places, and even going to those places is not cheap. So if travel is very important to you, you really want to explore the world, even though I know most immigrants, you know, are not looking to do that, but you can still decide here and there that you want to begin and all that bit, UK is easy for you, because with Canada, it is expensive, it is far, but with UK, it's very close. You can literally take a train from London to Paris and you're out. So if travel proximity is it for you, then UK it is over Canada. The second point I'm going to be discussing here is job opportunities and career progression. I'm going to be taking both of them simultaneously. So let's talk about job opportunities. It is said that it is easier to get job in the UK more than it is to get job in Canada. Now, as much as this is not a blank statement, I'm going to explain the reason why it is believed so. In UK, experience is all that matters. Once you're able to prove that you have this experience, you can do this job, you will definitely get the job. So this is excluding the visa also. So I'm going to be putting that as a constant. Let's assuming that we don't have to worry about visa both in the UK and in Canada. So excluding whatever your status is, excluding your right to work status, experience is really all that counts. They don't really look at your certifications and the likes. It's not dwelled upon. However, in Canada, it is not so. Canada values both your experience as well as your certification and degree and your skills and everything lumped together. So Canada is not one where you just come and say I can do this and then they just allow you do it. So getting like a corporate job in Canada can be way difficult than it is in the UK. Is it possible? Yes. Is it doable? Yes. I know people that landed jobs in Canada even before they came into Canada. I know people that landed jobs in Canada within 1 week that they came into Canada. So this is not to say, oh, Canada is difficult. I'm just saying in this regard of job opportunities, it is easier to get a job in the UK than it is to get a job in Canada. Another thing I'm going to be discussing about job opportunities as well is the fact that even for flexible jobs, you know, blue collar jobs and the likes, because Canada is way large, it is very rare to get very short shifts in Canada. In the UK, you can get like 1 hour shifts, 3 hour shifts, 5 hour shifts, depending on, you know, the availability. However, in Canada, it is not so, because Canada is way big. Before you even get to the place where you're going to be doing those shifts, it might take you the same time or the same number of hours to get to the place that you want to do the shift, and the same number of hours you're going to be working for. So why take a 2 hours bus to do a 3 hour shift? Is really not as beneficial. So you will see that to get shifts in Canada, you need like long all hours, like 8 hours, 6 hours and the likes. So even getting all those blue collar jobs can be quite challenging in Canada in comparison to the UK. Still on job opportunities, there are some professions as well that you cannot easily transition as a foreign trained professional in Canada as it is in the UK. For instance, as a foreign trained doctor it is easier for you to transition in the UK and become a consultant as against in Canada. With writing your PLAB 2 as a doctor in the UK, you can easily become a doctor in the UK and you'll be practicing, even though you might now need to take like further courses to become a GP or specialize and all that bit. You would easily practice, as well as lawyers as well. It's easier to practice. Once you take your solicitor exam, you can easily get exemptions and transition into being a British trained lawyer. However, in Canada it is not that way. Canada has this very long haul process before you can practice as a doctor or as a lawyer and some other foreign trained professionals. Even as an accountant, ACCA that you wrote in Nigeria is still very much valid in the UK. However, in Canada, that is not the case. You need to be a CPA and you write all the old examinations and all before you can be a CPA. That is just a lot. So even in your own professional field as well, easy transition is not it in Canada. So if this is also another point for you, if this is key for you, you want to practice your profession, you really want to like stay in your field and all that bits, then UK again is taking this over Canada. Now let's move to career progression. The UK has this very soft work culture. UK doesn't, like, they are not fast paced, there's no pressure, you like work soft and easy. However, in Canada they have a very aggressive work culture. Canada has this very close proximity to the US, and we all know that US is like the hub of every profession. Are you talking of the big banks, the Morgan Stanley, the BlackRock, the JP Morgan? US got it. Are you talking of the big tech companies? US got it. So US is like the hub of all these large companies. So if you are one that you really want to be a force to reckon with in your field, you want to get high up there in your career, you want that opportunity to, like, scale it and break it, then Canada is it, because Canada has very close proximity to the US. Like I said before, you can get jobs in those big tech companies and even be working from Canada. You can drive from Canada to US, and even some of these big tech companies have companies and bases in Canada as well. So you can do large investment deals. You can, as an investment analyst, your CFA really matters. They're taking all those things, they are very important. So Canada actually takes that over the UK. The very third point I'm going to be talking about here is pathway to citizenship and immigration. Now, as an immigrant, I'm sure this is very key for you, so I'm going to be dwelling more on this point as well. If you want very clear and easy immigration pathway, then Canada is it over the UK. This is a no-brainer. This is very known, and this is a clear fact. Canada has 1,000,001 immigration pathways. I have a series on that where I'm discussing other immigration pathways aside the express entry. You can literally be in the comfort of your home country, apply online, and you'll be leaving your home country as a permanent resident of Canada even before you arrive Canada. That can never happen in the UK. Canada has lots and lots of immigration routes that allows you to settle clearly as a permanent resident and become a citizen depending on the number of qualifying years that you need. In Canada, even if you come in as a student, you come in as a worker, you know how long it's going to take you to become a permanent resident or a citizen. Also, in Canada, your years as a student in Canada counts towards your qualifying years as a permanent resident. So 1 day is like half a day, so 2 years is 1 year, or count as 1 year towards your permanent residency. So where someone that comes in as a permanent resident from their home country is counting 3 years to their citizenship, you that you came in as a student in Canada and did like a 2 years course before you became a permanent resident, you need only 2 additional years before you get your citizenship. Now in the UK, it doesn't work that way. UK, for one, as a student, you don't have a pathway to citizenship. I know lots of you might have heard of the 10 years route. The 10 years route is not a student pathway to citizenship or permanent residency, which is called the ILR in the UK. It is not a pathway, or being a student is not a pathway. There is just this pathway called the 10 years legal residency pathway to indefinite leave to remain. So meaning that if you've been in UK for 10 years consecutively, legally as well, then you can apply for your permanent residency, which is called the ILR in the UK. So as a student, your years as a student does not count, except you want to go through the 10 years route, which might require you to continuously study. Now let's talk about the fees for the school, the fees for the health. It's just a lot of, it's just very expensive. I'm going to be breaking out the fees in another point, but for clear immigration pathway, Canada definitely takes it over the UK. Even as a worker, it's going to take you like 5 years before you can become a permanent resident in the UK. 5 whole years, and for these 5 years you are going to be tied to your employer. Nothing must happen to that employer, nothing must happen to your job all through the 5 years. So you cannot just up and leave that job to go to another job, because you need another employer that is going to sponsor you before you can up and leave. I have this friend, we entered into 2023 together. Everything was all funds and games until these big finance companies were laying off and they had to let him go. And from someone that, he was on a skilled worker visa already, looking at his 5 years to his permanent residency, he had 60 days to leave, and he has a wife and children. So this is just to say that UK can be very unstable, and even while you're there as a skilled worker, you're working on eggshells all through your stay until you get your permanent residency. Whereas in Canada, as a worker working in some provinces, that even they will offer you permanent residency more like on a platter of gold, because you are working in those specific provinces. And if you are working on high demand jobs as well, you can get faster route to permanent residency in Canada. So Canada really has this very soft immigration pathway. They are very open to immigrants, and you will settle on time. You have that peace of mind that comes with knowing that you are settled as against the UK. Also, immigration laws does not change like the UK weather. That was a jab. Okay, UK weather changes and that's how the immigration law changes as well. Today you are at peace, you are enjoying, you're having fun. Tomorrow you're in trouble in the UK. However, Canada immigration law is not that way. Even if you're going to change the laws, it doesn't often apply retrospectively, and you can still be very sure that you are going to be very okay. So I'm sure this is one thing that is very important to you. So for this point, definitely it is Canada over the UK. However, if you're going to be reviewing how long it takes from permanent residency to citizenship, then UK has it over Canada, because from permanent residency you need just 1 year on your ILR to get your citizenship in the UK. However, in Canada, from permanent residency to citizenship, it is typically 3 years. Like I said, there are some exceptions if you've stayed back and all that bit, but averagely it is 3 years from permanent residency to citizenship. But before you get to that point of permanent residency, then you will know that you have hustled. Now, moving forward quickly, I'm going to be taking immigration costs and health. Now, I'm taking this in the same point because the UK, as an immigrant, you will pay for your health surcharge. Although health is free at the point where you want to get the health care, but you would have prior to that paid for that health care before you can have access to it. So whether you're coming in as a student, whether you're coming in as a worker, you pay your IHS surcharge, and it is not small money. Prior to now, IHS surcharge was very close to £1,000. So if you have 5 years COS from your employer, that certificate of sponsorship from your employer, and you're going to be, and you want to apply for your visa, aside the application fee, you're going to be paying almost £5,000 in IHS fee. Now, IHS fee has been increased recently, and that even makes it worse. And if you're a family of 5 and you're coming into the UK on a skilled work visa, aside your application fee, your IHS surcharge is going to be 5,000 for one person for 5 years COS times 5 people. That's a lot of money for COS. So even though UK still has like some other pathways to their own immigration as well, you know, you have like the innovator visa, you have the graduate global talent visa. It's just very costly in comparison to Canada. I'm going to be coming to Canada shortly. It's just very expensive. So staying legally in the UK is often very expensive, which is why lots of people seem to like be trooping into the care visa prior to now, because that had the exemption from paying the IHS fee, and the visa application fee as well was cheaper than the standard work visa. But now, even with the new immigration law, you can't bring your dependents, whether you're in care visa and all that or whatnot. You can't bring your dependents if you are, if you are a student and the likes. It just makes everything much more difficult. So even though healthcare is free, at whatever point you want to get the healthcare, it is very expensive. Now in Canada, as a student, your health insurance is covered in your school fees. So if you look at your school fees breakdown, you will see the portion where it has your health insurance. Although not all hospitals might now accept this, and you might need to get additional insurance at the point of, you know, getting your health care, but it is actually often included in your school fees. So as expensive as your school fees might be, it covers your health insurance, which is not the case in the UK. You pay health aside whatever it is your school fees is, whereas as a worker as well, you either get, you know, health covered from your organization, or you also have to get an health insurance. So regarding health, if you're not talking about permanent residency or citizens who get free healthcare, by the way, in both countries, in this health, I would say probably it's 50-50. UK, you have to pay out before you get the service. In Canada, even though it might seem covered, you might need to get additional covering and still, you know, pay. But if you're going to be looking at the cost, really, I'll say it's very cheap in Canada compared to the UK. It is very expensive to get your health care payments, which is called the IHS surcharge, is very expensive. So it makes immigration or staying back in the UK very expensive. So even when you're working and you're making that much pounds and all that, you have to, like, you know, be saving them for your visa renewal or your payment and all that bits, because in no time you have to pay again. Still on immigration fee as well, the immigration fee for Canada is more affordable, unlike the thousands of pounds I have to put down in the UK. For Canada, it's just a few thousands and you're done. Like when we were applying for our permanent residency in Canada, I think the application fee was about maybe 2,000 Canadian dollars. I'll put the exact figure on the screen, but thereabouts. Whereas even when you're applying for your indefinite leave to remain in the UK, you're going to be paying upwards of £3,000. That's after you have completed the whole 5 years and all. So this is still just to say that even in immigration fees, the Canada still has a way affordable than you have it in the UK. And still on this, you know, healthcare, I'm going to be, you know, slipping in childcare as well. If you give birth to your child in Canada, your child is a citizen automatically. The child is born on Canadian soil, the child is a citizen. So your child's health care as a citizen, you know, is definitely covered. You can get all the benefits and all that bits in Canada. However, in the UK, all you get for birthing your child in the UK, if you as or if any of the parents are not British citizens or permanent residents, that's on their ILR, all you get is just your British passport. Sorry, you don't get anything other than that. Which means that in 3 months after you birth your child, you're supposed to actually bring that child on your visa, or you have to pay for IHS surcharge, which can be a lot of money, like we just reviewed. So if you're looking at citizenship for your child, childcare and benefits, Canada over the UK. Now on benefits as well, except you are a permanent resident or you're a citizen, you don't have access to public funds in the UK. If you like be on 5 years route, 10 years, whatever the number of years route you're on, you do not have access to public funds. So you can't get benefits aside if it's maybe maternity leave, which is not public, which is not classified as public funds, and some other funds that is not classified as public funds, but strictly for birthing your child, or some other accrue benefits, you are not to take those in the UK. That is jeopardizing your status as an immigrant in the UK. Whereas in Canada, after a number of months thereabouts, you have access to some of these like childcare benefits. If you have like children here in Canada, or you gave birth in Canada, you get to access all those benefits even though you're not a permanent resident or a citizen in Canada. Also on childcare as well, Canada has less stringent childcare rules unlike the UK. In the UK, if you are late to pick your child maybe 2-3 times consecutively or thereabouts, the next time you are going to that school, you are going to be meeting social services waiting for you at the school. If you just hold your child in a way that kind of seem like you are in trouble, like they are really out to get you. And even some people actually even believe that they are out to get like people of color more than they are out to get people that are not of color. So you don't have all that to worry about in Canada. Does it mean that you can abuse your child in Canada? No, not at all. But Canada doesn't have those, you don't really have those nosy neighbors or people that are actually out to like get you, or that are looking at anything that you are going to, just because you cough so loudly, it seems like you're abusing your child. No, nobody's out to get you here in Canada. So you have this very like less stringent in childcare rule, which means that you can still talk things through with your child as against how you can handle them in the UK, where you have like people really watching you and how to get you. The next point I'll be discussing is the weather, and this one is a no-brainer. We all know that UK is way warmer in comparison to Canada, particularly in winter. The winter in the UK can be very mild. Like if the snow is actually not right in your presence when it was snowing, you can actually come out of your house and not know that it snowed at all. However, in Canada, winter is wintering. Like the winter here can be very brutal. Although this very last winter, everyone agreed that it was very mild. And as mild as they said it was still not what we had experienced in the UK over 3 winters that we had done in the UK. So winter here can actually be a lot. The snow can get really high, and even in some provinces it gets as high as -50 and the likes. Can you navigate it? Yes, but the winter can be a lot. Although inside the houses in Canada, they are very well insulated, so it is milder inside the house than in the UK. Inside the house in UK is very cold. So even with your heater on, you still need your throws, you still need your robes and all that, your hoodies and all. But in Canada, it can be summer inside. You can wear your shorts, your sleeveless and everything, because inside is well insulated, but outside is something else. If weather is very important to you, then the UK, takes it over Canada. Although in Canada, if you're going to be moving from your house to your car to wherever your location or your venue is, you might really not feel the impact of the brutal weather, except maybe driving on the road. However, if you're going to be taking the public transport, you might feel it more. And also some people that have issues with maybe snow shoveling and all that bit, you can get condo apartments where you won't have to shove the snows. The condo management will handle all that bit, and all you have to do is just park underground, start eating your car even before you have to move out, and you're sorted. Like some people, even in downtown Toronto, there's this underground pathway from when the train stops you, and you go all the way to most of your offices, so you won't even have to come over the surface at all. So can you navigate it? Like I said again, yes you can. However, it can be very brutal in comparison to the UK. So I'm definitely going to be stopping here. If there are other points you want me to address as regards which I prefer, in both countries, please drop it in the comment section and I'll be sure to address it in another video. However, if there are just some very mild points that you might be wondering about, you know, as well, you might want to look me up on TikTok. The link is going to be in the description, and you know, you have it on the screen as well. You might want to look me up on TikTok and check some of the videos I've made. In my own case, however, you know, it was a family decision when we decided to move from UK to Canada. If you've seen my relocation videos or you've seen videos where I've talked about the UK, you will know I love the UK. For me, I have very good support system back in the UK. I enjoyed my stay in the UK. UK was it for me. It was fun, it was glorious. You know, I had a good job, my husband had a good job. I really enjoyed my stay in the UK. So UK for us was it as well, but it was more of, you know, a very futuristic decision, like I said, coupled with some of the things I've mentioned, career progression. We don't want to be using our savings to pay for IHS fees and all that bit. We just wanted, you know, this peace of mind that comes with you doing what you love and knowing that even if you decide to leave it and do something else that you love, you don't have to worry about your visa status. So these and, you know, some other personal reasons are why we just decided to, you know what, we're going to be living here and coming down to Canada as permanent residents. Now that might not be your case, or you might not be in that phase of your life, but the most important thing is to make the most of wherever it is that you are, whether it is the UK or Canada. No country is heaven. Every country still has, you know, what they are still trying to improve upon for everybody, whether immigrants or you're a citizen of that country. So you don't really have to be looking for the very best. You only have to make the very best of whichever of these countries you are in. Thank you so much if you have watched till this point. Thank you so much for watching. You might want to watch my other videos as well, you know, and show me some love by liking this video, sharing it with other people that might also be having this dilemma as to which of these countries to come into. And until I see you again in my next video, stay blessed. Bye.